Who won E3? It's the eternal question, and now that July's rolled around, this felt like the perfect retrospective to pose for daily reaction. Too often, this question is answered quickly following, or sometimes even during, the show, a knee-jerk response that simply looks at the spectacle instead of the underlying details that build a much better picture of gaming going forward. After all, isn't that what E3 is actually all about? So now that it's been 2 weeks since the end of the show, I want to look back to see who did right by E3 and who dropped the ball. Was Sony right to lay low? Let's talk first about Sony, who decided to stay home from E3 this time around. The show floor felt surprisingly empty without Sony or Microsoft's massive booths. Nintendo was pretty much the only big booth left in the South Hall, and while there were a number of other booths in this area, most of the action took place in the West Hall where the third-party booths were. While Microsoft's absence was made up for with its own showcase in the Microsoft Theater, probably much cheaper for them to use a building with their name on it, Sony just didn't bother showing up at all. But did it pay off for them? Without exclusives to show, it was probably a good thing for them. Most of the third-party games are still coming to the PS4 anyway, and plenty of demos played on the show floor were done on PS4s, so Sony's box still had a presence. Honestly, the answer of if this was a good move for Sony won't become clear for another little while, because we still have to see what Sony's strategy for a PS5 reveal and release event is. Many presume that the company avoiding E3 is in the interest of saving up marketing budget for an epic reveal event. That of course still leaves PSX 2019 and E3 2020 in question though. Microsoft took the opportunity at its conference to reveal the next Xbox, codenamed Scarlet. The reveal fell pretty flat though. Most of the information is pretty on par with what Sony had already revealed through a Wired exclusive article. Who managed to come out on top with that one? We've already been talking about the PS5 for months, and all it cost Sony was an exclusive for a magazine. Project Scarlet didn't undercut anything about the PS5, except that we know its release date is definitely holiday 2020, and its impact was significantly less what a massive stage demo like that should have been. All because Sony let a reporter have an early chat with Mark Cerny. All in all, I don't think Sony missed out on much by not being at the show, and the budget spent otherwise on an enormous PlayStation booth wouldn't have really had much impact.